Hello and welcome to the Billowing Hilltop podcast. I hope you're well, readers. We finished the Age of Worms, but we thought we'd sit and have a quick chat about what we thought of what's gone well and what's gone badly, and maybe what we're going to do in the future. So that's what you got now. Hopefully it won't be too boring. As always, we would love it if you were to rate or review us on your podcast app of choice. And we'd love to hear from you through social media, or you can email us at hello@billowinghilltop.com. I don't know when you'll hear from us again exactly, but the billow will return. For now, let us push on with episode 286 of the Billowing Hilltop podcast, Aftermath. Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening, Michael.
Hello.
I'm here with the usual crowd. I've got Dan and Johnny and Lucas and Graham and Paul. We finished the Age of Worms, readers, but we thought we would sit and chat about the adventure a bit. I put out the call for questions and you sent in too many questions. So many questions that I think we will struggle to cover them. I've tried to thematically dedupe them, if you like. And you've got some questions, I suspect. But before we get into that, should we do an email? What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the same reader,
Always
is
got to
it?
do an email.
No, it's not the same reader. It's a new reader.
Yes, welcome.
Paul's brought a whole new meaning to the word mailbag.
I'm going to
If somebody would
stretch my legs
grab
wide.
hold of Paul's distended sack, and just if you could just, that's it, out it comes, lovely, lovely. Somebody smear it on the console. It's quite a long email. I will paraphrase bits of it. It's from somebody called Sam. Hello, Sam. Sam Rogers. Hey up, lads, says Sam. I'm going to talk to you about the time you made me look like a complete idiot in public. And then for dessert, you can have some suggestions. I'd been to Nottingham for a gig and stayed nearby, aiming to get the earliest possible train back to civilization. But every single train heading west had been cancelled. This went on for several hours. Everyone on the platform is a bit miffed. Finally, we're permitted to board a train, and I notice a lady on the platform struggling with a huge suitcase, and I lean out of the packed train door to offer some assistance. And in return, I get a barked no in capital letters, which starts things off poorly. She gets on, and over the course of 3 or 4 stops, we're pushed around so we're standing face to face, studiously avoiding any eye contact like normal people should. I've nowhere to go. We are all completely trapped in this position. At this point, you fellows start naming giants after baked goods. Not once, not twice, but 3 to 4 minutes.
I remember
I am
those.
trying so hard to keep a straight face, but your laughter is infectious, especially Lucas's, and I end up just bursting out laughing straight into this poor woman's face. And she recoils in absolute horror. Everyone stares at me like I've lost my mind. I gesture to my headphones and I want to die from embarrassment.
Does anyone remember any of them? Was it Jeff Croissant or something?
Oh, God, somebody flatbread. Anyway, I'm sorry about that, Sam. Suggestions. Let's move on to suggestions. I'd like to recommend a game, Eat the Reich, from Grant Howitt, who is from Rowan, Rook and Deckard. We have an interview with Gareth Hanrahan. You've lost the news. Who is designing a mega dungeon for Rowan, Rook and Deckard, and a backer kit thing. I've just recorded an interview with that guy, so, well, that's a weird coincidence. It's designed to be played as a one-shot, so should fit with your desire to do something shorter. Yes, Sam, after the saga that is Worm Chaps, as my wife calls you.
Worm Chaps. Quite a good
Capital
name.
W, capital C, I like that. And then an idea for rotating regular features. I've loved Spider Facts and Dan's Joke Corner. You've mentioned editing out Paul's rants, so you could leave those in sometimes. Sam, we might have Paul actually GMing an adventure, so he can just rant away as much as he likes. Maybe food and drinks reviews. Johnny seems perfectly suited to his Soda Stream chat.
Oh, God.
So if he's got other things going on that are equally cool and interesting, Sam, I love this email, equally cool and interesting, those would work perfectly, maybe trying different bottled waters. Yes, that is where we should go next.
I'd forgotten about that. It's a hit.
Cheers, Sam, that's it. Now, let's talk about the Age of Worms. I have to load page 80 of the PDF. I made a note to myself to do that, and I have not done that. Yes, I have. Concluding the campaign, where we left things, we won't have a recap, but Kyuss has been, destroyed, vanquished, whatever, and you're standing on the top of this spire. As soon as Kyuss is killed, I'll read to you from the boxed text. The oppressive pall over Frosthanger fades in a matter of seconds. The clouds of green
I
mist
thought you meant
vanish.
Paul, as in Paul.
I didn't realise it was impressive.
The oppressive Paul.
We can only dream. The clouds of green mist vanish, and all remaining undead of Kyuss in the city are immediately destroyed. Hence, Lashana lit up like a kind of flaming, whatever, screeching death person. Overworms are brood fiends. Those are the flappy, fat things that you didn't really get into. Other living allies are filled with blind panic and scatter into the provinces of Red Hand, that's the wilderness surrounding Frosthanger, or into the Lake of the Cold Sky. Kiosk's monolith melts away in a wash of writhing green worms, and over the course of 10 rounds, that is 1 minute, the melting spreads with shocking speed through the rest of the spire. Any character remaining in the spire, we aren't going to get in this, you take 20d6 points of damage each round, as the ravenous worms consume everything in their path. When they reach the ziggurat, the worms continue feeding down through its core, creating a 100-foot wide pit in the earth. The worms dig to a depth of 600 feet before branching out, eating away at the stone, and spontaneously creating a tangled warren of caverns. Initially, these caves are lifeless, but in time, Kiosk's remaining taint takes root in the caves. This complex becomes known as the Pit of Worms, becomes an infamous and deadly dungeon to test the mettle of adventurers throughout the world. Okay, well, that's something for later. In Frosthanger, the stings of woe and destruction linger. Buildings lie in rubble. Mangled corpses clog streets. The cries of orphaned children ride the wind. Nonetheless, a crowd of the city's survivors quickly gathers in the main avenue, and this bit, I have to say, sticks in the throat a little. Greet the PCs as they emerge from the spire's ruins.
Brilliant.
Priests of Ban Shivu and Ort and Tonj or whatever, hobgoblin guards, bandits, pirates, and the honest, hard-working citizens of Frosthanger rub shoulders as they look in awe upon the party.
Well,
They stare blankly until a voice cries, "Long live the saviors of Frosthanger!
Oh, no.
Glory to the vanquishers of Kyuss!"
There goes my supper.
And all of the rest of them go, "Kyuss! You fucking idiot." That is where we leave it.
I think we need a bit more adulation.
What do we think happens next is the question I've got written in my notes. We've got a bunch of different people in the city. Exactly. We've got a bunch of 18-year-olds who've only been adventuring, I think, for a grand total of something like 5.5 weeks. But we've got Bakruss, we've got Granite Bones and his stone giants with Talabur. We've got Hillary and the tribes from the Mist Marsh. We've got Smebadu Upagli. It's a bit like occupied Berlin or whatever. You've got all these different interests, forces occupying this city.
Going to divide it into sectors, are they?
You lot would be the popular choice. Zeech. One of the options is that Zeech appears.
Yes, thank you, heroes, for saving my city.
But I don't think that works. It's rather vague in the back of the adventure. If you want to, you can be the rulers of Frosthanger. Is that the sort of thing you might be interested in? You're not going to play these characters again.
No.
Well,
No.
Not apart from maybe at Christmas.
Scaly's going back to where he came from.
Wasn't that an egg?
No.
Yeah.
All
Should
right.
he climb back into his egg?
Playing back into his egg. No, he's going to go back to the,
to the
forest.
nest?
Back to the Mist Marsh.
Yeah, to
Okay,
the Mist Marsh.
Hailed as the hero. What about Uncle Buggy? Uncle Buggy.
I was thinking what I was going to do. I think I'd probably go back into the mountains, because I am from the mountains.
The Newell Mountains.
And I think I might set up a monastery. Not a monastery, a temple to Greasy Bear Claw.
Yes, yeah.
We're all fabulously wealthy, aren't we? Yeah. We've got as much gold as we can eat. And then I was thinking the temple is going to be open to anybody who wants to come and stay.
Does that involve climbing into the
well, it's probably quite deep in the mountains.
Yeah, okay.
But there'll be a sort of milestones leading from the main settlements towards the temple. And
with those little flags flapping in the wind and stuff.
Maybe something like that. And we'd take any down and out person or orphan or anything, they can just follow the trail up to the temple and then be looked after, trained in whatever.
Retreating.
And then you stay in the temple, and then when people are ready to leave, they've got to snatch a pebble from my hand. You know?
Right.
Kill Bill.
Except I've only got +2 dexterity, so it's going to be really easy.
Okay. You seem to have given this an awful lot of thought, Johnny.
Well, no, I was
very
just
impressed.
daydreaming, thinking about
I
these
think it's
things.
great. So we've got Scaly back in the Mist Marsh.
Yep.
Buggy is founding a temple high in the Newell Mountains. What about Sessions? Are any of your characters interested in taking stewardship of the city of Frostanger?
Well, I mean, indirectly, Sessions might be.
What's indirectly mean?
What does indirectly mean?
He wants to establish a church.
Yes.
The hybrid church of the three faiths.
Exactly. It's going to start in Frosthanger and expand globally.
It's evil, though, isn't it? Isn't it evil?
No,
It's
not really.
It's
Asmodee.
Asmodee's not part of it.
The Grey Woodsman is not actually evil. He's just the deity of death.
Just this guy,
He's
you know?
misunderstood, isn't he?
The Grey Woodsman is anathema to Kyuss, because Kyuss robs the kingdom of the dead in order to feed his undead armies. He interrupts the natural cycle. That is why the Grey Woodsman is always, in a weird way, being an ally of yours. So if it's the Grey Woodsman, who in and of himself is not evil, you've got the Misfortune, who's neither anything, and then we've got Banshivu, who's chaotic.
Yeah.
I think it would be fair to say. Slightly evilish. Little spots of evil that you
Extremely
can scrape
evil.
off.
Yeah, polish up.
Yeah, okay, I like it. Is this faith going to be like a kind of Ebon Triad-like thing, like the Holy Trinity?
The Holy Trinity of these deities, as personified by the floaty pontiff.
Death, luck, and chomping.
Death, luck, and chomping.
Are you going to have a little city of your own inside Frostanger?
Well, we're going to have a big chapel, because I think there's a big chapel of Banshivu already. So
huge temple of Banshivu,
Yep, so that'll be the seat.
I like it. There's a huge temple of the Grey Woodsman as well.
Yeah, even better. We have 2 seats.
And then the Lady Luck doesn't have temples. She just has casinos.
Exactly.
And gambling halls and whatever.
And there is one of those as well.
I'm sure we can find
hotel?
The hotel.
Gambling.
Oh, yes, the Deluxury. Of course there is a casino in the Deluxury. You're 100% correct. Oh, God, your memory's better than mine.
So I'm sure,
it's not difficult.
Rousing all the followers, it won't take long to take control of the Deluxury.
I love it.
And before anyone's noticed, the Faith has control of Frosthanger.
Okay, I like that. So now we've got Burple and we've got Parker.
Well, Parker's obviously going to have to go back to the monastery.
Is it the real Parker?
He needs to go back and discover whether he is real or not.
Is it the real Parker? We have been asked that question.
Make his peace, having run away. And I don't know whether it's a case of doing penance, but effectively I'm assuming he has a totally different relationship to the censor. So he would go back to the monastery and carry on the ways of scrying the censor to understand what happened with the with Katsunyama.
The number one question from the internets was, Stephen Wicks, is it the real Parker? Colin Turner, is it in fact the real Parker?
Yes.
Martin
this is
S.
the journey I have
on
to
Blue
discover.
Sky. Have you thought about having guest players in from other TTRPG podcasts? No, Martin. Have you been invited into others? No, Martin. Is it the real Parker? Now, good question, Martin. I have to admit that I have rather lost track. I genuinely don't know if it's the real Parker or it's up to you.
Well, the role said it is the real Parker at the time.
That's right.
But readers, it is the real Parker, but I admit that I made the
But
joke
I
so many
would
times I
feel
lost track.
that returning to the monastery would be the way of establishing that. Because obviously going back
Are you going to go back to the monastery and find the real Parker?
Yes, as in
Yes.
myself.
One thing that occurred to me when I was leafing back through all of this stuff.
And see what happens
had
when I look in the sensor again.
Well, you had a vision which revealed to you that you were meant to look in the sensor, that although you thought that it was a furtive act, an illegal act, you were in fact observed by Izinfen when doing so.
That's
or at least
what I'm
observed
saying.
by a black cat. It means you're meant to look into the sensor, and that means that you were meant to see the vision of Cuthbert and the entrance to the cairn, which means that you were meant to embark upon this adventure with this conclusion, and you were fed visions steering your way through this story from the beginning. So there's a weird element of kind of predestination with Parker.
So surely to complete that journey would be to return home.
I like
and to see what the censor says to me this time. And presumably, having been on the journey, one would, I assume...
I think the censor's going to tell you to join the Union Church.
Okay.
No, go up to my temple in the mountains.
That's
I think there's two other things.
It's just
One
an
is-
offshoot of the Union Church.
No, it bloody isn't.
It's the
greasy
lesser
bear
church,
claw.
isn't it?
It's a lesser church.
No, it isn't.
It's the backup
No, it
church.
isn't. My church is better than
Not
your
even
church.
play at each other's
Well, no, you
throats
see,
already.
I would feel that the monastery of Isenfen is apart from that, and that we would take the orrery, and then we would care for the orrery in the monastery as well, because
What
that
happened
will
to the eye?
obviously.
Well, it's still attached to the orrery.
Yes,
And Quethos
we never
is a
actually
person.
got round to
Quethos is another loose thread that we have to think. I think Quethos trips over the bottom of his robe and falls into the pit that the worms are digging into the center of the earth, shouting "Fuck it!" as he disappears down into the abyss. I think that's what happens to Quethos.
Yeah.
But you don't know that that's the end of him. I like the idea that he disappears down that worm hole, literally.
How are we supposed to use the hand, by the way, in the final battle?
Well, we'll get back to that because I know that's one of your questions. So
So
we'll do your.
my
I've got your
feeling would
questions
be,
written down.
first of all, also he has to take the gem back for Isenfen, because that was one of the gems, if you remember, from the drug deal.
Yeah.
So he would return that home to Isenfen, so that she
Sort of remember, readers. Yes.
gem back.
Yeah.
And the other one is, then I would assume that in the monastery we would then use the orrery, because we can care for the orrery, and every time there is a conjunction, then obviously we will be able to use the conjunction. I don't know whether, people could come to the monastery at the right times and ask the question.
And you look at the stars to
Yes.
divine the fate of the universe. I also get the sense from some of the interactions with Isenfen. I mean, obviously it's a long time ago. I don't remember all of this stuff. That Parker is Isenfen's chosen
there you
successor, right? Like the anointed successor. I think that tracks.
And with the orrery in our sort of,
or the one that was
sphere of
prophesied.
influence, we would obviously have a good deal on being, like Delphi, be a place that you could pilgrimage to view the orrery's
And
conjunctions.
what about Burple?
Well,
so you want to go back to his bin?
No, Burple has kind of dealt with his anger management issues, but he has unanswered questions about his mother and his father.
So his parents,
he
yes.
also is wondering what happened to that part of the rod in 7 parts.
Yes, that was one of my questions.
Are you talking about another quest?
I don't know. The first thing
I'm
to
going
do
leave
is
the
to go
temple
back
and join you on this new quest.
Okay.
That didn't last long, did it?
Have you got another?
You can write it your fucking self, because I'm not doing it.
Just got there, had some tea.
Enjoy yourselves, guys.
We're off again.
We're getting the band.
Tell
back
me how you
together.
get on.
No, I think he'd be seen disappearing off into the wilderness. He'd go and check the island.
Yeah, you've got to get back to that island.
Back to the island.
Don't we still have the submarine?
You do still have the Crimson Spot Cocter.
Right.
You can get back to the Isle of Telagos. You could go back to Krathanos' compound, go through the vortex into the Shadow World, and have that encounter with the woman standing on the shore looking out to sea. That's kind of where I leave Burple in my head too. Where does that thread lead if you pull at it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got ideas, but I don't want to make them concrete. I think it's best to leave them floating.
Yeah, I think Burple would go, firstly check the island, then he'd go where Marcus was killed. I'd go back to True Spire Island first.
Yes. Probably with Hesty, because I think Hesty would leave the rebel base.
Yes.
One thing I can tell you, because I made a note earlier, is that when you do re-encounter Hesty, and I presume in this sort of extended coda to the story, which is a bit like the bit at the end of Star Wars where they get given their medals, I think all of you are given dressing gowns.
Slightly too short.
Slightly too small.
With the Chasing Dragons design. I would imagine that Hesty, Purple, would invest you all in the order.
I think we should have met more of the Order, and they should all have been wearing different style dressing gowns, apart from Marcus.
He's got a job lot. They're all neatly packaged in cellophane.
There is an order. There's Aberranta Cahoop, and there's Lizentia Wonder Muscle.
Who we never met.
They were repeatedly referred to by Hesty. Those two wizards helped Hesty maintain this barrier enchantment that stopped the scrabbling hordes of evil breaking their way into Frosthanger during the last encounters. There are 3 left of the order. Marcus was another. Rabadabadas.
From the Rubber Dubber Dub.
Oh, you know him?
No.
Well, we do now.
Was another.
Well, we do, yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Grudgingly.
He was the 3-part spirit.
In a way.
Right, whatever the prophecy. Johnny is mostly wrong.
What?
You are, Johnny.
No,
but
no, I'm never
in
wrong.
one instance, you were half right, which is that you were fulfilling prophecies
Yes.
inadvertently.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's on.
And some very artful writing went on in The Age of Worms, nothing to do with me, that managed to sort of sell the idea of the Ebon Triad as being this central pillar of the whole adventure.
Right.
And then secretly they have a little bit where Rabadabadas is split into 3 parts and you reunite him.
I thought that was
It's nicely
just
done,
your
isn't it?
idea. But yeah.
No, God, no, it wasn't my idea.
The thing is, for everyone's benefit, I think obviously it's not very secret, but Burple's father was a Wind Duke, we think.
Maybe.
Not confirmed, but we think. And Burple's mother was
well,
it's a bit like Zeus coming down
yeah, I mean, that's how it pretty
in
much
the form
plays
of
out. I mean, it's
of an animal.
Later in the Swan.
But so
All
I
of
think
that
going
business.
after the Rod of 7 Parts makes sense for Burple.
It does. You found some fragments of a journal or a diary
That's right.
early on
Yes.
that seemed to be from the point of view of somebody non-specified who had met the love of their life, who was a creature that was clearly not human, a tall, dark purple-skinned entity. The other thing is that you believe that your mother died of something called the Red Death, which was a plague that swept through Diamond Lake
Yes.
when you were very small, but you had a vision of her sitting at a table, exchanging a last despairing glance with you before she drank from a cup placed on the table in front of her, a dark figure behind you through a shadow on the wall opposite. That was one of the last visions you
yes.
had. So something went on there. Maybe she didn't die of the Red Death. And I think we leave that floating.
Yes. He has unanswered questions. He disappears off into the wilderness.
Yes.
Maybe with a companion.
Yeah, Buggy.
So we're giving Frostanger to Sessions. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah,
Hey,
Sessions
but it's
Calamity.
only a religious ruler. He's not the actual.
Well, Zeech is
Civil
still
ruler, is he?
around, so that has to. He'd
Well,
have to be
I think
dealt
Zeech is a
with.
busted flush.
Yes, but he
personally.
could be a figure. He could remain a figurehead for a short while.
Well, there's
to
Hemris.
facilitate.
Oh, cringe. His teenage daughter with the antlers. I mean, she would be next in line.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I think Crush. Oh, Goggle Boy. You with your guitar. I think Crush has got too much to do in the wilderness. Granite Bones and Telebeer will probably return to the Nool Mountains like Buggy. So we're kind of running out of people, is the way I look at it.
No.
What about Scaly O'Toole?
No,
What's
Scaly.
he
What
up to?
about Scaly O'Toole?
Scaly's.
No, he wants to go back with Hillary to the...
Yeah, Scaly kind of started this thing by climbing down a tree from where he'd been sitting and going off to walk. He'd had enough. And that's where he's going to go back to. He's just going to climb back up his tree.
The thing that we haven't picked up on is that the very last thing that happened at the end of our last Age of Worms session
Yeah, we
was that
haven't.
a cloud of grey and green dust
We haven't
motes.
forgotten anybody, have we?
Lashana, what happened to Lashana?
No, it's not Lashana. It's-
Shauna burnt up
it's-
burnt like
we're
a
talking.
torch.
We're talking about the ouch
Splinter, isn't it?
splinters.
The ouch splinters.
Yeah,
Cuthbert.
ouch splinters.
Severiana.
At the very end, a cloud of green and grey motes of light starts to coalesce into a figure, and I don't know who that should be. I had a plan. It was an option, which is that Alessandra might return during that final combat. I don't think it's Cuthbert. It's up to Paul, really.
But why have you included this thing at the very end and you don't really know what it's for or who it is? I don't get it.
Because I like the idea of having stuff hanging unresolved, especially since at a certain point I will be running some Pathfinder 2 set in Hearth, and I like the idea that we've got these sort of things sitting in the background of whatever we do next. And I like the idea, therefore, that these things are not necessarily resolved.
Wouldn't the granny ouch splinter be more fun?
It would be.
Yeah.
You keep thinking she's been done for, and then nope, she's one of those.
Severiana.
Severiana Outsplinter.
She was cool.
We can say that
And she signs out on a line. It's like the last line of the movie, isn't it? It's like, would anyone like a
Yeah.
cup of tea?
Would anybody like a cup of my special tea?
We spent rather a lot of time talking about her.
Why don't we say it was Severiana Outsplinter, and why don't we leave it so that we've got Sessions building a theocracy in Frostanger, but there's obviously an interest from whatever entity this is, this Outsplinter group. Looks a bit like a crime family, looks a bit like something more supernatural. It's rather difficult to work out who's in charge. Seems like Cuthbert's in charge, but then Cuthbert is clearly
he's deranged,
drastically insane, and lives in a house full of puppets of his own creation who relive every day the same.
Shatteringly insane.
Yeah, he's shatteringly insane. So it's like, what's going on with him?
Why has he ended up like that?
Well, I don't know. I just thought it would be interesting.
We also ought to go back to what was the first town we started in? Diamond Lake.
Diamond Lake.
Is that the name of the town?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we should go back there just to say hi, see who's still around.
You can fantasy do whatever you like.
Yeah, I will return when I am most needed.
Most needed.
I don't want to go back to Diamond Lake. It's a shithole.
It is a shithole.
I was brought up there. It's terrible. Oh, sorry, it wasn't me. It's Grimble.
Yeah, but there's people we grew up with there. It's like my bin.
Buggy didn't.
The whole story started with, let me welcome you to Diamond Lake, because nobody else will.
Yeah.
Diamond Lake is an unfriendly place. It's a grubby smear of a town. People with the desperate, the venal, and the crazed. Let's meet some of them.
God, that really does take me back.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we can tie that up. We've left some stuff unresolved, which is great, and we can maybe revisit some of those unresolved things in the future. Let us talk about that final combat, because Johnny's had some questions, and I will find
before
Johnny's
we do,
questions.
can I ask my one burning question? It's like, what was the mechanic for the Misty Step?
It was a reaction,
right?
And it only worked when you were near a vortex into the shadow world.
Right.
You dropped into the shadow world, you were able to act, as it were, out of time in order to travel to wherever.
Right.
And then you were able to return from the shadow world to the primaterial world. When you were near a vortex and you were in trouble, I would give you the option.
Right.
And I never ever thought that, well, you didn't work it out.
No, I
and I wasn't really expecting you to.
No. All right. That was my burning question. Back to Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mine was about the mechanics of Kyuss getting weaker for the final battle as we completed tasks.
Yes.
How did that work?
Well, you had two factors. You had despair amongst the population of Frostanger that you were trying to fight. That despair feeds Kyuss's energy. And then you had the unlife vortex, which was pulling energy from the negative energy plane and spiraling it down into the top of the ziggurat, top of the spire.
And Katzenjammer as well.
Well, Katzenjammer was another one which I added. So Katzenjammer was just added on.
Oh.
Don't want to go on about the stuff that I added on, because it can go on and on, but we have had a couple of reader questions about that.
Well, I do want to know about Katzenjammer.
But the two key elements in the Adventurers written, they are directly mechanically keyed to Kyuss's capabilities when you face him. There are a couple of effects that you didn't have to face, and I think if you had faced them, you'd have been in terrible trouble.
Go on. What were they?
Let me make sure I've got all of this
pretty nasty
stuff.
as it was, although I think we were quite lucky with some of the dice rolls.
Well, you were very lucky. We can get into that in a minute. But you were very lucky with one dice roll in particular. Now, he had an aura, a divine aura. Any worshipper of Kyuss within 10 feet of him has an advantage on all ability checks. Any non-divine creature, that's basically everybody, within 10 feet of Kyuss, so anybody trying to take him on base to base, which is how you dealt with him in the end, you would have disadvantage on all ability checks and attack rolls and saving throws.
Ouch.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Because you successfully fought the despair in the city, he lost that divine aura.
That would have made things
much
harder.
That would have been tough, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Kyuss emerges from the monolith, he takes one turn, as in his turn, not a turn as in 10 minutes or whatever, to emerge, unless you destroy the unlife vortex, in which case he is incapacitated for 2 full rounds.
Right.
I don't know that you achieved an enormous amount in those 2 rounds,
No.
but you did resolve the question of the Sphere of Annihilation. The Sphere of Annihilation took half, let me get this right, half of his remaining hit points on every strike for 2 strikes. So let's say he's on 600 hit points. You hit him once with the Sphere of Annihilation, that will do 300 points of damage. That leaves him on 300. You hit him again, it would do 150 points of damage. So it can't kill him. It's like
but you can only do it twice, so you can basically quarter his hit points.
Yes. So you hit him with that early.
Yeah.
He had 901 hit points.
Woof.
By the time you hit him, you'd done a little bit of damage on him, but that was a very significant blow. He then regenerated like an absolute whatever. The hand, if Sessions had chopped off the hand from Quethos and chopped off his own hand and grafted it, I'm calling that a 2-round process, I'm guessing. I don't know.
To attune to that artifact, yeah.
No attunement necessary. It's an artifact. On it goes.
Okay.
It just grafts onto you and you're away. A touch from Sessions as the 3-part aspect of the Grey Woodsman, Veshna, and Banshivu, who were the 3 parts of the Ebon Triad and the 3 deities represented in the Dark Cathedral in Book 2. If Sessions had transformed himself into that aspect, effectively mirroring the creature you fought in the crypt beneath the Plague House that killed Alessandra, a touch from the hand of Veshna would have killed Kyuss outright. So that was the one-shot thing.
Right.
It was a very odd combat. There were 2 ways of going about it. There was the Sphere of Annihilation and the hand of Veshna, and then there was just thumping him until you did 901 points of damage.
Well, 450.
And if you don't...
But how would we have found out that we needed to do that with the hand?
Heavy hinting from me, including visions of Sessions having transformed into a creature with the hand of Veshna floating towards Kyuss and Kyuss recoiling in fear. I mean, it was try and lay it.
It was quite heavily...
I spread it liberally.
But would Sessions have ended up an evil creature at the end of that?
If Sessions had killed Kyuss in that way, and this is only how I had it down, and we might have, in this discussion, we might have thought differently. He falls to the ground, restored back to his original Sessions form.
Oh.
He loses the chompy mouth. He loses the hand of Veshna, and he loses the aspect of the Grey Woodsman, the fog lamp eyes.
What about those noose things that appeared?
So
they were nasty.
The next round, a hood would have appeared over your heads, preventing you from casting spells and seeing anything. But you didn't get there. The other thing is, I rolled 3 times, needing a 5 or a 6 in order for the Executioner's Mace to screech again, and I didn't roll a 5 or a 6 any of those times. And that was the thing. I think you went the hit point route. You know, everybody was saying things like, we've got to commit. We just got to go for it, which you did.
Well, we tried to get the hand,
fucking
but
worked.
there was no real... I mean...
With the hand, you have to commit. I always thought either somebody is going to say, everything has been pointing towards the hand being the kind of uber weapon. We must ignore Kyuss, and we must concentrate everything on Quethos. But I did understand that it was a huge leap of faith to do it. But I just put it there as a thing, because I thought it would be cool if you decided to do it, that it would pay off. So, but you didn't, and it worked anyway.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Because I wondered, whether the mistake... I mean, I thought about the divine intervention a bit. I wondered whether we should have gone all in on the sphere.
If you'd hit him with the sphere and then hit him again, it would have made things a lot quicker. As it happened, you got him bloodied, and then he basically regenerated back to over 400, and he was on like 500 and something hit points by the time you got back into him, and then it was damage from Buggy and Scaly, really.
And Parker.
And Parker in the end. 5 points of damage.
3 points of damage.
Because I think I should have said control of the sphere and an intelligence sufficient to move it quickly. That's what I didn't think about.
Yeah.
That would have made a difference.
Yeah.
You could just say 24 hours with an intelligence sufficient to move the sphere quickly.
Your other question, Johnny, was Lashana, Dal, Quethos, Rachnian, we can come back to Rachnian, Outsplinter, Chank Fankum, and Hesty plot involvement were the things that you sent me. Hesty plot involvement I think we've done, but we can go back to if you want to talk about that a bit more. Chank Fankum is just a stupid name given to a character that's in the adventure as written from the beginning, appears in book 1 and then appears again in book 5.
But he's just a nobody, really.
Well, he's not a nobody. They make more sense when you're 5th level.
Yeah.
Rachnian died in the Deluxury. He was grabbed by that parasitical Kyuss worm fungus stuff that turned you into a hinge head. His body was found by Scaly when Scaly was rifling through his room looking for a clue towards an antidote because Scaly knew he'd been infected. That was in episode 150-something, The Bottle, whichever that episode was, whatever episode number that was. Lashana was just a hench person. She was an ancient silver dragon vampire.
Nice combination.
Nowhere near as scary as one might imagine.
Oh.
Looking through the questions that you guys raised before we sat down here, Johnny, we've kind of covered everything that you asked. Your other question was about Parker's visions. I think we've talked a little bit about that. Burple's connection to the Wind Dukes we've talked about. Sessions is morphing, we've talked about. These are all Johnny's questions he sent me. Lucas's question was, who the fuck is the real Parker? We covered that.
Yeah.
Graham's question, which elements did you add that you are happiest with, and what, if anything, do you regret? That's obviously addressed to me.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pick that up anyway if we look at I think we go to some of our readers' questions. Readers, thank you for sending in so many questions, and they are very perceptive. We'll come to Cats and Jammer in a bit because that's kind of built in to the questions that we got. I've tried to kind of stitch the questions together so that the same question asked by multiple people we can cover in one go. The most popular question was, is it the real Parker? The next question that I thought covered the most areas, we've had a question from Simon on Instagram, Shadow Road DM on X, Amanda on Facebook, Ryan on Facebook. How have you enjoyed the Age of Worms adventure path? So this is not a question to me. Compared to other epic campaigns you've played through, what was good and bad about the structure and framework of the world it presented for play? Shadow Road DM said, given the opportunity to go back 6 years, would you still go with the Age of Worms?
Good question.
Amanda asks, why was this particular adventure chosen? Was a version conversion, brackets, that's fun to type, already done by somebody else? Ryan, a bit more granular, what was your favourite book from the adventure path? Would you like to take the Slayers into other games? Is this the last time we have to smell Uncle Buggy through our ears? So, did you enjoy the Age of Worms adventure path?
I thought it was it was a classic story, wasn't it? From kind of humble roots to kind of saving the world. We've never finished anything before, so it kind of makes a difference getting to the end, which I know as a DM it becomes a trudge as you get towards the end. It's like, because the story, the mystery is kind of has to be answered. And it being a very early adventure path, it has a sort of classic kind of progression to a denouement. I thought it was really, really good. Actually, I really like the story. It's something you wouldn't get with later ones because they now have to do sort of slightly different things.
Yeah, they tend to be very thematic, whereas this is much more general. You have to take a punt on these things.
I thought it was great.
Because
I thought it was great. I really liked it.
You're never going to read all of it. I mean, I didn't read all of it. I hardly read any of it before we started, right? Yeah, I thought it worked. Rest of you, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
I mean, there's some brilliant bits in it. I mean, the games was fantastic.
Looking back over it,
the doppelganger thing was fantastic.
Incredibly varied.
Yeah.
Very rich.
Yeah.
And
I think that worked to its advantage and disadvantage. Some of the bedrock themes could have been kind of reinforced longer, if that makes sense.
100% agree. Do you remember I had that thing when I chatted with James Jacobs? It surely cannot be nothing to do with the fact that freelancers are brought in to effectively fill in the blanks in sections of the story.
Yeah.
And that everybody will bring their own ideas. So it's an adventure that sort of stands up by itself, but that is somehow kind of plumbed into the bigger story arc.
Yeah.
And that has the advantage, therefore, of giving everything its own flavour. But like you say, sometimes you feel like it's... We talked about episodic dramas the other day, your point, Dan, about how, is it the Rockford Files?
Yes.
Where it's a different thing every week? Or is it something where there's a sort of different element every week, like Mandalorian, but there is a bad example maybe, but there is a thread that runs through it all? Yeah.
But there was a lot of play for not much story.
But it was better than Rune Lords, don't we think? It's the closest we've got to getting through everything.
We did Kingmaker as well.
Kingmaker's very different, though. It doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely better than Kingmaker.
I like the start of Rune Lords.
Same here.
But we got almost to the end of Rune Lords, didn't we?
We did, but it gets too big. Giant obsidian halls and bridges across chasms and flames, and it's always the weakest bit. And that's why I didn't worry too much about the whole Kyuss thing with the ziggurat. I just thought...
No, but that was it was actually quite interesting, the whole mechanic building up to it.
Yes, exactly.
It was good.
While we're on this, Alison asks us, my curiosity is about whether recording your sessions as a podcast impacted your experience of this adventure. Specifically, did the players find that they were more invested in their characters' personalities or stories than they are in your unrecorded games?
I think that's two-part in that, yes, it had to have an impact. And it took us some time to get used to being recorded it took us a while before we forgot that we were being recorded and just played, whilst there was always just a little bit of, we knew that No, it wasn't that long, but for us to kind of
3 or
relax
4
into
weeks,
it.
and then we just
We had to relax into it, but once we'd relaxed into it, there was always still this underlying thread of we have to describe what we're doing. And Mike was always saying that's great for radio.
National Radio Awards. Yeah.
Exactly. So there was always this idea that we are being recorded even if we didn't care. But I don't think there was any more or less investment into our characters than we would in other things we played.
I had great ideas for Purple. I was going to have him. He's supposed to have this temper, right? And he's
that's right.
And I just I never remembered any of his traits. But so I thought I set him up quite well, but I never actually followed through.
I don't know that the adventure gives you that much leeway for that stuff.
No.
I mean, Cuthbert went because I got bored of him. I remember having quite early chats with Mike going, I'm bored of Cuthbert. How can we get rid of him? It was.
When you said, Paul, can Cuthbert wander off right in the middle of an adventure, which you didn't at that point know was all about doppelgangers replacing party members, I bit your hand off. I was like, you have saved my fucking life.
Yeah,
Paul.
let's do that. We spent months talking about that behind the scenes, about how we were going to do it.
And me and Johnny on replacing Buggy and all of that. Is it dirty stuff? That took an awful lot of coordination in the background and the broom cupboard and all of that. Anyway, we're getting distracted slightly. I mean, I wonder whether or not recording the sessions meant that we finished it.
I don't think we would have finished it.
No,
I don't think
you would have got bored.
Without.
You would have got. I mean, you did get bored, but you would have gone. No, I can't be bothered.
Jesus! Since about book 5, I've just
don't say that. Don't say that.
No, I've loved every single minute of it. I genuinely have.
No, I think
I've loved it.
We wouldn't have finished it, and I'm really glad that you recorded it because we've got this thing forever now, haven't we? So we can,
Yeah. Don't really get sentimental, but we've got this little thing that we can. Well, it's not little. It's like weeks of continuous audio.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have a kind of, I don't know what it is. It's like a plinth on a mountaintop or something. Paul seems to really enjoy the role-playing part of the TTRPG.
Oh my God.
Does he? But I wonder if anyone else felt more or less inclined towards role-play during the Age of Worms.
That's an interesting one. I think we all see it on a kind of one part on a spectrum of the role-playing, and that comes down to are we just playing a kind of a strategic game on a chessboard, or do we go more to the theatrical side? I think
Does Dan ever stop thinking about grid-based combat? Is another part of Alison's question.
Yeah, I think I like the story side of it very much indeed, but it doesn't necessarily mean I enjoy the role-playing. I mean, there are other podcasts I listen to which have enormous amounts of role-playing, and I sometimes feel that's a bit over the top. So I like
that the characters have personality, but
I just say hands down,
you don't have to play that personality. Do you know what I mean?
I think hands down that Johnny did the best. I mean,
Johnny always does.
He does the best, because I think what's great, without blowing too much smoke up his ass, what's great about Johnny's character is he does a few things really well. It's not overblown. It's just a few things. And they're repeated, and they just build up this idea of a character.
He understands his limitations.
One of my favorite moments from the whole thing was when Johnny killed the baby owlbear. I just thought that was hilarious.
Yes,
Burn Baby Burn, episode 8. Yes.
Oh, what about ringing the bell? Ringing the bell at at the jail.
Yes, at the police station.
I am a bit disappointed that Grimbold died, actually, because I do like playing sorcerers.
No, we're not.
They are quite fun.
There are loads of questions here. Why is Dan Mike's favourite player? We're not going to get into that. Who is the reader's favourite player, and why is it Johnny? I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
To continue the Johnny Love Fest, what is the player's and the reader's single greatest moment? Mine has to be the un-Johnny-like leap through the air at the Mind Flayer.
Oh yeah,
that
abandons me.
That
Zergzog,
quite a moment,
making me feel like I'm one of the group who may not even remember it happened, let alone the name. Okay, he feels like part of the group because he can't remember it. Okay, this is all from Red Drew on Instagram. Do the players understand the plot yet? That's a good question.
Vaguely,
bits of it.
Vaguely.
Paul, I appreciate they were of differing levels, but did you find Cuthbert, Sandy, or Scaly the most fun to play?
I loved playing Alessandra best.
Yeah,
she's best character in the thing by a country mile.
She's my ideal. She was my ideal type of character. Love it,
and that is why she had to be crushed by the hand.
So much. Yeah, I got bored with Cuthbert, and Alessandra was brilliant. That last shot she did.
It did do a lot of damage, but you waited a very long time to do it.
I know.
Yeah, there is a sort of balance to be had, but I think there is a thing with a strong combat thing that isn't just go and hit them with your longsword.
Yeah, I like a ranged character.
It's really odd how characters some characters are just there with very, very little embellishment. And Alessandra was just there. We recorded some of her diary entries.
Oh, God, yes.
To give the sense that she was a sort of cold person from when she was small, with the eye patch and the longbow. And she just, I don't know, I just liked her all the way through. That's why she had to die.
The eye patch to cover the fact that she had one green and one grey eye.
Exactly.
Which is very nicely
done.
What was Cuthbert?
Sorry.
Why did you get bored with Cuthbert? I can't
He just
remember.
wasn't. He was a bit middling. He wasn't a specialist.
What was
Cuthbert
he?
has been much, much more interesting as an NPC than he was as a PC.
Yeah. I can't even remember what he was.
Was he
He was
rogue
fighter
or
or
something?
He's a fighter. He was a fighter.
He was a fighter.
I mean, he was just
and then there were the gems.
The gems, that was quite funny.
Yeah.
They were just silly
Dan
out-splinter things.
Absolutely hates Cuthbert. He was just spitting mad.
That was what was good.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The animus between... And it wasn't character-based animus.
Dan really hated it.
Readers, Dan doesn't get on with Paul. He doesn't.
I
hate
They don't socialise outside these games.
No.
Yeah.
He's such a
You know, all of that. And we've all been to each other's weddings, apart from Paul and Dan, who have not been to each
No,
other's.
it was never be invited. Never. God, he's hideous.
He's my favourite player.
Just roll over and die.
I think one of my favourite moments was when Dan turned Procyon against Sirius in the game.
Yes.
That was one of those moments where that's just such a game changer.
I think
Very
our
good.
favourite book was The Champion's Belt by all of us.
Yeah, that was very good.
And just
Thematically,
Doppelganger was good.
because thematically, that one is just like it's a one location makes sense in and of itself. That isn't a castle.
I think we talked about this before. There's an element of kind of Harry Potter about it. In that it's like after lights out, you've got to go out and do sneaky stuff.
Yes.
But you've got to be back in the morning to follow the
Yes.
for school,
And you
or
have to
in this
rest.
instance for
I think you're also at the kind of levels where you can't do everything yet.
Yeah.
yes.
You don't have the big
Very
sort
good
of
point.
game-changing spells, and we'll
There was
just
some
teleport over
really
here. And
Terrifying
Yeah.
stuff going on underneath that.
Which we couldn't
Stadium.
really work out what was going on or how to solve it. So it was quite interesting. And then you had that Jubilex jelly thing.
The Cenobee, was a really weird and little interesting environment. Yeah, you had that funny demon thing with but you got in a jar still stuck on the top of your backpack, Buggy.
And then when you actually go into the arena, that's a whole new thing as well. That's got its own interest about how you tactically
Precisely.
and this big maggot thing that you know is going to emerge.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
The Ulgastasta. Let's go back to this is a really general one. Shannon. First of all, which NPC was my favourite? Mike's favourite? Marcus. How far from the source material did the story stray? I picked that up from Shannon because Graham basically asked, what did you add that you liked most and regret? Right. Well, I made a lot of changes, obviously, from the Adventurers Written. Like stacks. There were some little bits and bobs, little details. Oh, by the way, when looking through the little details, reflecting on them, I did think, God, there's all these bits that you didn't do. Some of them, I mean, they're not that interesting, but there's a whole bit of the Whispering Cairn you didn't do. You didn't go down that elevator.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole bit of Ecosiel. Do you remember Ecosiel and the River of Blood and all of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a whole section that you didn't engage with. It was a bit of a sort of sideshow bit. You didn't go Mother Maggot's chambers in the Tabernacle of Worms. So when you were exploring the Tabernacle of Worms, you got it into your minds that you needed to start searching for secret doors, and you did. But the one place you didn't was the mother lode, literally the mother lode of like Mother Maggot's chambers with like mirror gates into other places.
Right.
You could have jumped into the prison where Buggy was held by his cousin.
What happened to Mother
From there,
Maggot?
you could have jumped into the research lab where you fought those creatures, where you were trying to work out stuff about Cats and Jammer. You could jump back into Frostanger. There was a sort of nexus point where you could use to jump around the world. You didn't.
What
you
happened
didn't look.
to her, Mother Maggot?
Don't know.
She never appeared
question.
in one of the
Good
battles.
question. When you returned to True Spire Island and Marcus had been killed and Eligos had been turned into a hinge head, your understanding is that Mother Maggot had identified that vulnerability. You found all those papers that she was researching.
Yes.
How the dispersonality aspect of Marcus, the idea that he'd spread. Yes, she picked it out of your head in that weird bit where you were suddenly in a dream where you were talking to her in the restaurant. And she was asking you questions and you couldn't remember the answers that you gave her.
She never appeared again.
Well, she definitely was there, you think, in True Spire Island. You think she was there in order to orchestrate the death of Marcus. You were rescued by the Anvil of Thump, who were there to try and track her down and destroy her, but we've never resolved that question. So what did happen to Mother Maggot? Other bits that you didn't do, there was a whole section in the Unlife Vortex bit, which we were all sick of, so I was glad you missed it, which was Lashona's chambers, including her treasure room and stuff.
Okay.
Oh,
that's annoying.
And
let's go there now.
No, and it's too late. It's too late.
It's not too late.
It's too late.
It's not too late. Let's go now.
The bits of Kongan Thulnir you didn't do, but I mean, nothing. Anyway, I've got myself distracted. So the things I changed, I moved the lantern in the Whispering Cairn to make you go into town because I thought we'd spent too long wandering around in that dungeon.
Right. It was
obviously things that I changed a lot of names. I changed loads of names.
Madam Watch.
Names and genders.
Yes, loads of names.
It did seem to be extraordinary that pretty much it's like, where are all the female characters in this story? Where could they be? And so, like, Eligos is a man in the original adventure, and so, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So I did try and kind of flip some of that to make it a bit more balanced and interesting. I added things like the Timber Dark because I wanted to bring in this concept of the Grey Woodsman. Yeah, the Timber Dark was just an idea that would give me a way of getting you from place to place.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
And all of that stuff with the shadow world and the vortexes that lead to the shadow world and the shadow versions of real places.
Oh, that's really good. It felt like part of the adventure, an integral part.
Good. Well, I'm very glad that it did. The thing I introduced that I'm the most pleased with was hinge heads.
You absolute bastard.
I loved hinge heads. When we did the thing in the swamp, you face some banshees, and I looked at that banshee power and I thought, you make the saving throw a little bit more difficult on this, and this is an absolute bastard.
Yeah. I wasn't
True Spire Island was added in. That wasn't in the adventure. That's somewhere else. Crimson Spot Cocter, all of that stuff is submarines, and that's all just obviously completely made up. The orrery was completely made up. That was just something that was... Yeah, totally.
God, it seems like an integral part of the adventure.
I can't pretend that I had this great grand plan when I put it in there, but I thought, wouldn't it be fascinating to have a way of talking about the cosmos in the same way that we're joking about the calendar and the days of the week and
that
whatever.
Was funny.
Why don't we introduce the cosmos to ground the world a little bit and then see if we can work out how, as a magical thing, it might work in the adventure? And the first thing I thought of was this concept of the conjunctions, which were the real conjunctions in 2019 when we started this or whatever. And then the more it went on, the more interesting it became because it gave you loads and loads of options like the eye and Cats and Jammer.
How many conjunctions were there?
I think there were 3 or 4 in the whole thing. I've got them in my notes
over
somewhere.
The course of 6 weeks? So one every 2 weeks.
Yeah, they were pretty common. As the timeline kind of moved on, it just seemed this was not deliberate. It just seemed like the main things that you were working towards seemed to coincide with a conjunction. And obviously, on the night before, again, I can't pretend that this was a brilliant idea of mine. It just worked out that way. At midnight on the night before these seismic days in the story, you got to ask 3 questions. So it just seemed to have a natural kind of rhythm to it. Cats and Jammer is a song by a band called Kyuss, who are Queens of the Stone Age. Queens of the Stone Age are a development, like Rock and Roll Family Trees, of a band called Kyuss. And I thought, well, I'm just going to have something that's called Cats and Jammer then to make it make sense.
Right.
And I love, as you know, my view is that Armageddon is the greatest film ever made. And so I thought, well, we're going to have, well, it is, apart from the last, whatever. And so we're going to have a thing, talk about the wrong stuff, where we have a sort of asteroid and we have a thing with the orrery and it's somehow linked to, it's just more interesting than the other stuff that they have to do with Kyuss. So I thought, fuck it, put that in. Not much else. Paul and I cooked up the out splinter thing between us.
Yeah.
as much Paul's idea as mine.
Well,
mirrors, jumping through mirrors to jump around and stuff. I kind of stuck them in to make.
Sounds like some of the more interesting stuff of the whole adventure is your ideas.
What would that?
No, well, it sounds like that because I'm talking about them. If I'd given you the list of stuff that was in the adventure, you'd have said that those are the interesting things.
Well,
so I think that's just a question of
one thing we all came up
bias.
with. We all came up with the eyebrows.
The eyebrows got lost, not literally, but
maybe we shaved them off.
Anyway, those are the things I changed. I don't know which ones I regret or whatever.
It's an evolution, though, isn't it? Because over the course of the years that we've been playing, essentially, we started off, I think, writing our own or playing other people's, and then there were sprinkled in with that. There was things like Tomb of Horrors. But generally, my memory is that the stories were mostly our own, with some pre-written sprinkled in, and we jumped around a lot.
Yeah,
but as we've gone along, the purpose of the game or what's enjoyable about the game has changed. I think that there was no story to begin with. It was, or next to no story. There was a hole in the ground with a door, and you were adventurers looking for treasure.
Yeah,
that was it.
Micro stories.
Yeah, and now basically, now they're full-blown epic kind of adventures. And I think that our style of play has kind of changed along with that, where we added layers. And I think in this kind of thing, you took that to a whole new level, Mike.
Oh, it's a whole new level. I don't know that I did. I think that we did.
Well, I think our game was going that way anyway, but I think you did invest and you kept on top of things in a way that we haven't in previous
you think so?
Tangents.
We've just had a very long conversation where I've explained that I don't really know what happens to anybody. But yeah,
no, but that's not the point. You don't need to know what happens to anybody. It's not relevant. It's not integral.
I think what we've done in this one, irrespective of role play, irrespective of the extent to which players are kind of drawn out or expressed characters, which is a whole other question. We've spent more time between ourselves in side conversations, intertwining ideas about these characters and the way that the story works.
Yeah.
But I think that's because we haven't played anything this long before.
And I think it's also, we've had quite a focus. So historically, we've played 2, maybe 3 things. We haven't focused on one game in quite such a way.
Yeah, you better get used to that, readers.
What do you mean?
Well, because we're not going to do that again, are we?
Well,
we're not doing 6 years.
No.
We're going to jump about a bit.
Talking about 3 things, aren't we?
Hold on a moment. What do you mean?
What?
Well,
on that point, I'm just going to sweep up and just see if there are any last readers' questions that I think that we should, because I've got stacks. Readers, if I haven't read your question out, or I haven't covered it, even if I've not directly read it out, I'm very sorry. Ones that just leap out to me. How much budget was spent on the underwhelming Keep? Blackwall Keep.
Blackwall Keep's tiny.
It was early on. We had no budget.
It was a matte painting.
Yeah, it was a matte painting. That's absolutely right. What else have I got here? Favorite NPCs. What was your favorite NPC, chaps? Do you have one? Can you think of one?
Yeah, I like the one whose name I can never remember. The artist god lady.
Zulshin.
Yeah.
No. I thought she was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, she just likes to, be playful with exploring spaces, like ideas around, empowering oneself, to giving oneself permission in practice of art. Best deaths? I think.
Deaths.
Oh,
best deaths.
Grimble.
Alessandra. Grimble. Well, that's only because it's Johnny.
Well, he's got his face.
Favourite magic items? These are questions from Ed. These are questions from Ed, Paul.
Oh, Ed. Hi, Ed.
The broom.
Always
broom. Hello, Ed.
The problem with magic
the
items...
sweepstake was the best magic item.
Sweepstake was, you bought it.
Yeah,
I know, but it's
the gems with the tracking devices. The gems with the tracking.
Best combat.
Best combat.
That is a tough one. That was absolutely packed with good combats.
We had some really good combats.
Mind Flayer. What's it called?
Zerxog.
The one.
There was that one with the thing going down the well under the plague house was.
That was horrible.
That was the best.
Yeah, that was the best.
That was
combat.
a terrific combat.
A bit scary at one point.
Yeah, it was a good kind of 3D combat. That one.
Yeah,
had that shaft going down.
Any combat when people flee for their lives.
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed 5e? Yes, we have.
I was coming to that because one of I wanted to talk about kind of what we thought of how it played at different levels.
I thought just really, really well.
My only issue was attunement. I think Achievement and saving throws, basically, you can't improve them.
I always think of what Johnny says about I'm 20th level and I've got, +2 on dexterity kind of thing. And
is that a bug or a feature, Paul? Because we've enjoyed the game.
Yeah, we've enjoyed the game.
Combat,
but the last three levels kind of didn't matter going up a level as far as my character was concerned. It just did very little in terms of exciting new things.
There's a bit of that.
You know, you want the.
It has worked better than pretty much any other edition of any D&D like game we've played.
And
at running through all of that.
Given the way, given our time and who we are and how we play, Pathfinder is incredibly crunchy, and it's the idea of having to know all of that stuff or look it up. It's the good thing about 5 years; it's quite speedy.
Well, it's speedy when you play it for 6.5 years and do nothing else. I wonder whether or not that's. What are your thoughts, Graham?
I mean, I think it still plays at higher level, which is interesting. I do think once you go past, 10th, 12th level, I think the jeopardy's not there as much.
No.
I agree with that.
That might be partly my fault. Well, not partly.
But it does flatten out. It's supposed to be heroic, isn't it? And therefore you're supposed to be heroic with it. And I just think on the advancement, there isn't that kind of like, oh my God, and I can now do this.
But, I guess that's...
Yeah.
That's the price of making something work over such a...
Not necessarily. No, I don't agree with that. So the bounded accuracy is not what we're talking about. We're talking about a simplification for the DM. The thing that makes it play at higher levels is the fact that the DM can control things when they get, kind of more powerful and more complex. And the key one there is attunement, but I think attunement, the balance wasn't right. You should get more attunement slots as you get higher levels or things like that. Because
maybe just 1 per 5 levels even.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
I can't prove this, but my sense is that what you do is you swap out spells and items that do a particular thing that is appropriate for the level you are at for new spells and items that work in basically the same way but feel and sound more powerful at the level that you get to. You're not adding, you're swapping. You're always...
Yes. The concentration thing doesn't quite work.
12th level, I don't think I changed my attuned items. I thought attunement was one, and I thought the concentration was another. Concentration works really well to simplify.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
I don't know. I think you should be able to concentrate on a couple of things. But
I think either
if you get hit and you make a concentration check, you lose all of them.
Yeah. Well, I
think it's just down to a way of imposing the bounded accuracy, isn't it? You just stop the Christmas tree effect, and if that's the way you've decided to go, that's the way the game works. Yeah. It's maybe not exactly what we want.
Well, you didn't feel like there was much advancement after kind of 12th, 13th, did you?
Yeah.
There wasn't, not much changed.
You got more spectacular versions of spells that kind of did the same thing.
Yes.
And in the hit point bloat stakes, if you're a martial character, all that really happens is you do progressively more and more damage against creatures that have more and more hit points. Yeah. So it's really just kind of the same. Yeah. Basically.
But didn't you say that on average, we were doing less damage than the game predicted?
There were a couple of people who did some analysis around damage per character output per round, whatever, and the expected versions of that which play against challenge rating, and you were running under.
Yeah, it's because we're shit.
No, well, we didn't have an optimized party,
You didn't optimize the party, which is what made it so much more interesting. This has just been the best party of characters. Maybe retrospectively because we've played them for so long. Burple, Buggy, Parker,
come on,
Paul, loads of Paul's characters and sessions. I know it was just thrown together, and that kind of is the joy of it. I think all this bollocks you see on social media about the secrets of DMing and stuff, there is no secret. But the one thing I would say that I've learned is it's much more fun when you want the characters to succeed than it is if you want the characters to fail.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We've always wanted the characters to succeed, but we've wanted them to be properly tested. Have we not?
There we go.
Dan and Graham.
Well, exactly. No, we're going to get into that because Dan is going to be GMing some stuff in the future, readers, and so is Paul.
Yes.
And Graham, we are letting GM because he's lethal. There's no point in having this series of single-hour shows that end up with just people weeping and throwing up into the litter bin in the corner of the command pod.
I must say, when I was running Poter, I didn't want the characters to succeed.
No, we know
So
that.
I had that mindset of I didn't want them to succeed, which makes it, I
Really?
think what Dan is saying, it makes it a challenge. So you have to try and
Yeah, we realise that.
do
Josh.
something to succeed.
Yeah.
The thing about Poacher is you went down, because it's a sandboxy thing, you went down the wrong bit at the lower level.
Well, we didn't know that. We had no way of
well,
knowing
I
that.
There was no
I didn't want to
signposting.
steer you in the right direction, but you went
Well,
like a pilot bit early on. You were all sort of moaning about, this is really difficult. Yeah, of course, it's bloody difficult.
anyway, we're not talking about Poacher.
Yeah, sorry.
No.
So there we are. End of.
Yeah.
Done.
End of an era.
It's quite a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was
I'm
fun.
certainly not going to play a monk again for a long time.
You didn't like the monk.
Well,
The bard felt like a kind of not as
I
good
like the
version
monk.
of a wizard.
Johnny was really annoyed with the
monk
bard.
is it just sort of flattens out after about 13th level. They
Everybody's
just don't do
flattering
anything
out.
sensible with it. And that's just like annoying.
I think
Yeah,
we
you
all
want
felt
the
that
monk
with
to
our
get a
characters.
really interesting set of powers later on.
Yes.
Don't you? You want them at like 13th level. They can now step and punch somebody, and
I think that's true
Yeah,
of
you want
all
the
the
monk to
classes.
basically be
pull
doing
out their
Neo
horn.
Run
stuff.
across water.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it
wait a
wasn't.
minute.
But there was no opportunity. The only opportunity for tactical stuff. You want the monk to be the sort of like zipping around, doing stunning strikes on everybody, so that all the other fighters can then get advantage. And none of those things ever work properly because they're sort of reliant. Basically, the monk's dice rolls were reliant on. It doesn't get enough pluses, so basically it's a 50% chance every time.
Yeah.
And if everything's 50-50, there's
7
just
points
too
of
many
damage.
sequences of
4 points of damage.
fail,
3 points of damage.
But like,
having said that, the whole
when it comes
adventure
together,
ended.
when it comes together with the monk,
Yeah.
he does a lot of damage in one round.
6 points
Parker
of
killed
damage.
It
Kyuss.
will work.
Yes. Oh my God!
Yeah,
How
but-
pleased am I that it was Parker and not Buggy.
And not buggy.
I was
Fucking
very
hell.
pleased.
What?
I think finally something that can bring us all together.
And on that note,
I have got a question from Nate, who is a long-term supporter of the show. Why are people from England called English? People from Scotland called Scottish? People from Ireland called Irish? But people from Holland aren't called Hollish. Think about that one.
Thanks, Dick.
We've also had, will the Testapod theme tune ever be released as a single? No. Shannon asks, is it dirty?
we've got to do a big
Yes.
band version.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I'm on episode 117. I wondered, by about episode 60-ish, if you actually like each other. That's from Liz Moomin. Brilliant name. Thank you, Liz Moomin. By episode 100, you all rallied and seemed genuinely pleased to banter. If you took all the times you sighed disappointedly, I think she's aiming this at me, and edited them together, I'm wondering how long it would take. Maybe 45 hours.
Something like that.
Now, the question that leads us on. Obviously, a lot may depend upon dice rolls and Mike's blue dice of power, but would the Age of Worms have been vastly different under Pathfinder 2nd Edition?
Oh my God.
rules?
Yes.
Would there have been any more character deaths? Any
Yes.
more protracted battle?
Yes.
Yes.
It'll be longer than 6 years.
Well, we're about to find out.
Yes.
We're about to find out.
Readers, we have done this in order to finish this adventure. We have enjoyed recording, not so much enjoyed editing all of this rubbish for your ingestion, oral ingestion, or does that sound rude? Anyway, whatever it is. Does sound rude. It sounds like oral sex. I'm sorry. Anyway, on we go.
Moving on.
Anyway, we are not going to release, well, I don't know. We're probably not going to be releasing like years and years of weekly stuff. We're going to go off and do some other things that match a little bit more the way that we played before we did this. So we're going to be trying some stuff out. We've recorded already some Twilight 2000 Session 0 stuff. Likewise, we've recorded already some Shadow Dark Session 0 stuff. Some with Dan, some with Paul.
Yep.
Over time, we'll be getting into those game systems, and over time, we will put those things together and release them. The thing that's closest to what we've just done, we're going to play some Pathfinder 2nd Edition. This is no surprise. We've talked about this before. We're going to set it in the world of Hearth. We're going to transpose a Paizo adventure path called Outlaws of Alkenstar, and we'll be making some adjustments. The best way of summarizing those adjustments, well, my adjustments to it, are that it will take the kind of implied Wild West setting and turn it from that to more Rebel Nell, if you're familiar with the program, sort of Georgian tricorn hats.
Set where? Where geographically in the world?
Well, now let me put you on a new map. It's the map of the
hello.
hinterlands that we've been using with the Lake of the Cold Sky and Frostanger in the far north.
Even Star.
The Hortling, the Whispering Cairn, the Twilight Monastery, Diamond Lake, and all of that. Even Star, and then if you head further south, you can see the Ostradi River, the Spellscar Desert.
Alkenstar's down there.
Alkenstar. The areas south of Even Star and west of the Nul Mountains. So it's set in the same world. We're switching game systems. In terms of flavour, in the Paizo Adventure Path, the implied setting is kind of Wild West. Guns, Stetsons, I don't know, people falling off balconies. I know that's something to do with...
that's Russia.
Anyway, but I'm thinking more Georgian,
still with
or
guns.
Maybe even back further. Yeah, but basic firearms, breech-loading firearms.
Yeah, so...
Black powder. We will play into all of that because this adventure is set in an area called the Manor Wastes, which is not on our map, but covers all of the section of the map that includes the Ostradi River and the Spellscar Desert and Alkenstar and everything.
Right.
But we'll get into the lore of that, but it is to do with a war of sorcery and magic between two warring kingdoms, which plays back into our Hearth setting, kind of. We'll get into that later as well. I mean, I've got detail, but we're not going to get into it now. But we're talking tricorn hats, gin palaces, duels. You get the general idea of this. Enormous quantities of high-quality hosiery. If you're interested in Aubrey Maturin or Barry Lyndon or the Duelists.
Lies of Loch Lamora.
The Lies of Loch Lamora. Sorry, I can't
Easy
say it.
for
The
you to
Lies
say.
of Loch Lamora. Yes,
Yeah.
the Lies of Loch Lamora.
Go for
Yes.
it. Well done. Just
Well
do
done.
it.
It's fucking impossible.
Sixth time.
Next thing that we're going to record in that stream of things, and I'm not quite sure when it's going to come out, and I'm not sure, well, really of anything, is a session 0 around the characters for that next adventure. But I thought it might be wise before we got into that, since we didn't do this for the Age of Worms, is for a quick chat between us, well, between you, about what that party of characters might look like.
Yes.
All of you have had ideas about the characters you want to run, and in fact, for example, Graham has given me a lot of detail. No, in a good way. I mean, I've actually had a character sheet, and we've had some conversations. But what are you thinking of running, and are you going to change any of your choices based upon what other people's choices are? But let's not do this forever. So, what are you thinking of running? Let's go around the table. Paul.
I'm a gunslinger.
Gunslinger. What does a gunslinger do? Is he just a fighter with a gun? Does it have any
He's a fighter
other
with a gun.
powers, healings or bombs or any of that?
I can't remember. He's caught me in the hole.
No,
I'd
not
have
really.
I'd have to look at it.
Okay, so he's just a fighty type. Okay.
He's a fight. You know, I'd play
A fighty type, but not a base-to-base,
Yeah.
toe-to-toe,
Yeah, understood.
frontline fighter.
Range fighter.
He's
yeah.
basically Alessandra with a gun.
Yeah. And then we've got
There you
Graham, who is a...
Graham, what are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of a swashbuckler.
Okay.
Right, so that's also a backup fighter.
No.
Well, I'm just saying neither of them are toe-to-toe.
Daring do.
Neither of them
No.
are toe-to-toe.
We don't have a tank so far.
No.
That is fair to say. Lucas, what are your thoughts about the character for this?
I'm looking at an inventor.
Okay, so that plays very much into the setting,
Yeah.
which is going to be a little bit more about the development of industry and technology and black powder weapons, and less about magic.
Yeah, and there's also several sort of paths. So you can, as an inventor, you can also invent sort of Healy stuff.
Right,
I
so
think I
you
haven't gone
you
through-
could do some healing.
Yes.
Have you had any thoughts about which way to go
Not
with that?
100% yet. I did read through it very briefly, and I thought, yeah, that's definitely the kind of thing I like. But in exactly which way it goes, I need to do some thought. I think the thing is, you don't have to specialize too heavily, as far as I can work out. They've done it so that even if you're sort of like, even if you're like inventing bombs and stuff, you can still sort of invent med kits and things like that. So,
Okay.
Okay.
but I need to read into. Still need to go into more detail about where you need to make your choices.
Johnny, you've got thoughts about your character?
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of mixing up guns and fantasy setting. I just like escapism.
Well, that's fine.
Fantasy.
You can sit this one out. You can sit this one out.
No, I'm happy to play, but I'm not playing anyone with a gun. I'm playing a rogue, just a traditional
Yep.
rogue called Sagbo the Slightly Inefficient.
Okay.
So it's Outlaws, isn't it? So he's a really bit of a shady character.
I am completely with you. Outlaws of Alkenstar is an adventure set with obviously some presuppositions around black powder and so forth. But I'm with you. I don't want to do the Wild West, and I don't want to do a mechanized steampunk adventure. I want to do a fantasy adventure that slightly rolls on by like 100 years into a slightly more basic firearm milieu. And we can get into that and the mechanical details of that later. But don't worry, it's not going to be a steampunk thing, because I don't like that massive change of flavour either.
It's balanced, is it? I mean, a gun is not going to be...
Yes, precisely. To be fair to Paizo, they state straight out the gate in the player's guide, you can run a traditional fantasy character in this adventure, and it will not affect your enjoyment of it or your effectiveness. You don't have to pick up a musket. And also, we're not going to get into some of the stuff that's in Guns and Gears, which is the source book slightly sits behind this, with advanced and complicated and special magic-y technico firearm stuff. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it 4 musketeers, flintlock pistols and dueling, not complicated Wild Western or like early 20th century weirdnesses. All we're left with is Dan. That's all we've got. At the end of all of this,
sorry,
we look around
state
the
of affairs.
desolate ruins of the
Dan,
room.
you've got a fighter, right? Because we need one. Is that right?
Or a cleric or a spellcaster.
So I thought this was the case. So I basically looked at the situation and was like, we've got no arcane spellcasting, we've got no divine spellcasting, and then there's nature or something. There's 4 different types of spellcasting.
Primal. There's primal.
We have none of them.
Or is it elemental? I
No,
can't
there's
remember.
arcane
Anyway,
and divine.
I have no idea. By the way,
And
one thing I should
primal.
make clear, Graham is going to be co-DMing this adventure with me.
Right,
What?
because he knows the rules better.
Graham's
than-
the only person who understands the rules. Yeah.
Okay, so basically my first idea was, okay, we need a toe-to-toe. I thought a combined barbarian with alchemist, with an alchemist focusing on mutagens that kind of make him bigger and stronger and more fearsome
Well, that sounds
while
like
he's raging.
That sounds hilarious. Yeah.
Right, so that was my first idea, but I don't think
Steroids.
they really go together very well, those two classes. But I have rolled up a barbarian as a starting point. I also like the idea of a witch, because a witch gets a familiar, and the rules for the familiars are quite robust, so I quite like that. And you cast spells through
There's
your
a Healy
familiar.
Witch.
Yeah, there is a Healy Witch, but it's not very interesting, and it's not very... And
Nah.
also we have no healing, so I did think
Maybe
of
we'll
that.
have to steal some potions.
The other thing I'm quite interested in, I always like the sort of Magus type thing, which is a combat guy who can power up his weapons while in combat.
Burple.
Well,
Yeah,
Burple didn't do that. No,
Suspiciously like a bard.
Yes.
yeah, Purple wasn't very successful at that. But yeah, I agree. I was less interested in that. I'm also looking at an oracle, which I know is not particularly exciting
Ooh.
combat-wise, but could be quite interesting. So I don't know. I need to plug gaps. I need to plug 3 gaps in this party.
Well, unless you can convince each other to tweak your choices. Let's not get into this any further, but maybe off air, have a think about this. The only prerequisite to make this story work is that when you're putting your characters together, there are some sample backgrounds in the Outlaws of Alkenstar player guide, which I think you should all have a copy of.
Yes.
You can morph those, adapt those, but the idea is that you are on the run, you're an outlaw, you are maybe falsely accused of something. The important thing is that you have a beef with one of 2 characters. Sir Ambrost Mugland, who is a sort of industrialist, tycoon, landowning, politically influential bad person, or Sergeant Angelique Lovelace of the Rifle Street Runners, which are the police force, defense force, city watch, whatever you like to call them, of Alkenstar. She is a sort of Dudley, those who are familiar with James Elroy, a Dudley Smith character, a corrupt police officer with her own gang of goons that help her tweak and twist the city in her own interests and in the interests of her sponsors and political masters. When you're putting your characters together, how have you become an outlaw with a grudge or a reason to want to get back at one of those 2 characters?
Right.
On that, I think we have done enough. Readers, thank you for listening to us rambling on. We don't know when you will hear from us next, readers. Might be a Shadow Dark. It might be a bit of Twilight 2000. It might be an early session in some Pathfinder 2nd edition. I don't know what it's going to be, and we're not going to find out now.
We'll find out next time.
We're going to find out.
Not next week.
Is going to appear in your podcast app. Whether or not I can shake off this irritating head cold when we pick things up. Well,
next
it's not going to be next week.
Next time.
Are you going to say goodbye from me and then go around and everybody say goodbye? Like university challenge.
It's not play school, Johnny.
This is goodbye from me. I think it might be quite a nice way to round off the thing.
Okay, well, yes. Okay, no. Fair enough. We're going to sign off the Age of Worms. So let us go round the table. You have to do it, Johnny.
Well, it's goodbye from him.
It's just totally hopeless. Absolutely.
That's right. Goodbye, and it's goodbye from Uncle Buggy.
Is it?
Is it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Cheerio.
Yeah.
This has gone well.
The Billowing Hilltop podcast is a Billowing Hilltop production. Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. Dawn of a New Age and Age of Worms are copyright Wizards of the Coast. Dawn of a New Age was written by Tito Lietti. Music is from Kevin MacLeod and Incompetech.com and is used with thanks under the Creative Commons license. Additional music and sound effects come from the wonderful Sirenscape. All other original material is copyright Billowing Hilltop. Role-playing games are all about getting people together, and we use Roll20 as our tabletop, the perfect place to host your game, and Discord to host our chat. Thanks for listening.
Well, I thought that was all right.
Yeah, I think it went pretty well. Have you got the keys?
I have. Don't let me forget to drop them off. Can you just check that the broom cupboard is locked? Just quickly.
Yeah, he's still in there. Do you reckon, should we just let him...
Johnny's in his basket?
Yeah.
That's fine. You just leave him in there.
Sure
He's
just leave him?
perfectly safe.
Oh, okay,
He
fair
can
enough.
survive for days at a time in there. Right, well, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Thanks for sitting around for 6 years doing this.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, really. You know, just kicking back, relaxing.
Don't forget the lights.
Okay.
And I'll switch off the time circuits. Right, let's go.
Let's go.